Hi guys, this is Mars Girl and Josh Knight, the first from Beyond the Black Rims. We wanted to go ahead and make this video update because we have a bit of an apology to make. So for some reason...
Due to technical difficulties, last week's live show, episode 7 of Season 3, unfortunately met with the technical problems that result in us not having a copy of the episode.
So it did go live, so thank you to you guys who were there live and talking with us during and after the show, but those of you who watch on YouTube later on down the road, I'm afraid we don't actually have the full hour-long episode to give you.
And we actually kind of felt bad that you guys didn't have a chance to share in that like you usually do every week, so that's why we're filming this. This is going to be a very condensed version of Season 3, Episode 7 for you guys, the YouTube audience.
So I know it's not everything, but hope you at least get a little bit of information out of it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 7.
Or Episode 53 if you're counting. So now we're going to ask each other what we did during the week. Hey Kaylin, what'd you do during the week?
Nothing. What'd you do during the week?
I don't remember.
Oh, well then I guess we have nothing to talk about.
Well, that sucks.
Okay, let's talk about the follow-up stories. What follow-up stories do we have?
Movies started filming. Avengers Age of Ultron, it's filming right now. And all the actors are down there filming right now. How do you think the movie's going to come out?
It's going to be great.
Okay, that's awesome. And then there's another movie, it started filming. I think you're familiar with it. It's called Jurassic World.
Ah!
Oh, you don't like Jurassic World?
Ah!
Wouldn't that be really funny if every time I said the word Jurassic World, she just kept yelling?
Okay, we found out that there's some new casting news for the Jem movie. Audrey Peoples will play Jem, Stephanie Scott will play Kimber, Haley Kiyoko will play Aja, and Aurora Permanillo will play Shauna.
Hey, didn't I say earlier that they wouldn't cast anybody from the internet talent pool?
Yeah, you're pretty much right.
You know what that means?
Called it.
So that's the casting of all the holograms. Hey, wait a minute. They still haven't cast some other parts. They haven't cast for Synergy, they haven't cast for Jem's dad, and they haven't cast for her boyfriend, Rio.
No, they sure haven't, Josh.
Man, it would really suck if they cast Rio during the next week, right?
Yeah, that would sure make this story obsolete.
Okay, this is our second story. So Avril Lavigne made a video. It's called Hello Kitty. There's no Hello Kitty in the video. It's just her and a couple backup dancers who look very sad.
Some people think that it's racist.
I do.
I'm not so sure that it's racist. I just think that it's a very bad song, and it is an even worse video with really bad imagery and very unenthusiastic dancing. It is not good.
I concur. Also, Skrillex called, he wants his hair back.
You say that, and everyone else on the internet too.
What, you mad, bro?
And now for our final story.
So they have casted Cyborg in Batman vs. Superman. It's an actor by the name of Ray Fisher, who plays Victor Stone / Cyborg. That makes 4 members of the Justice League in Batman vs. Superman.
Haven't I been talking about how this movie is just turning into the Justice League anyway?
You know what? You're right. You have.
You know what that means?
Yep.
Called it.
So, if that's the case, if there's 4 members of the Justice League, we can't call this movie Batman vs. Superman. What do we call it?
Not quite Justice League.
Hashtag not quite Justice League.
Okay, that was our show.
That was great. All of you on YouTube, come watch it over on the live stream on Twitch. We're on the Twitters and the Tumblies. I'm at Josh Knight First.
I'm at Mars Girl Prod.
That was the show. Okay, thanks, bye.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
And welcome to Season 3, Episode 8.
Or Episode 54 if you're counting.
That might sound familiar to you except for the Episode 8 part. And that's because you just watched Episode 7. Haha, we tricked you.
Yeah, so kind of like we said, for you guys here in the chat, technical difficulties ended up in a goof that ended up with us not having a copy. So you guys here in the chat got to watch the show that will be put onto YouTube very shortly from last week.
We're being more careful about it this time. Not gonna happen again, even if Twitch is the one that lost our video file to begin with, but I will be the one to make sure that I have additional backup copies.
Exactly.
That's not going to be a problem. We got audio recording right now. Right now, like last week.
No, we're on this now. We're good.
We're good. We're good.
We're all here. Fine.
We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
We're sending a squad up.
Negative. I've got a very bad reactor leak here now. Give us a few minutes to lock it down. Bad leak, very dangerous.
Wait, I forget what he says here. Just shoot the dang thing.
Forget, we're not going to quote all of Star Wars A New Hope. So that's what that video was about, and that video is going to go up on YouTube.
Right.
That's more for the YouTube audience than it is for you guys who are watching us here live on Twitch, and who do regularly watch us here live on Twitch, because you already saw the episode. You were the privileged, like, 20 to 30 people that got to actually see the full episode.
You guys are special, alright? You guys got to see what other people won't see.
So...
Oh, there it is. They're finishing for us. Who is this? What's your identification number?
Boring conversation anyway.
Thank you. So, stuff that's going on. There's a cat.
So what is some stuff that's going on?
Stuff we did this past week, right?
Yeah, you know, I guess, you know, you see sometimes that GoFundMe thing, because, well, I guess cat's out of the bag, right, Simon? We're getting married, and it's in less than 2 months, and I'm very, very happy to say that we're at the 50% mark for our fundraising, and that's a lot better, to be honest, than I thought we were going to hit. So I want to thank you guys for even helping us out with that much. If it goes farther than that, that's also great, but I really more just kind of want to get thank yous across, because we couldn't have even gotten this much done without a little assistance. And I know you've been selling a whole bunch of really cool stuff. I know it's hard to let go of.
Yeah, but honestly, though, thank you to everybody who's been reblogging or reposting the status about the different eBay auctions. Thankfully, within about 24 to 48 hours, a good bulk of what I put online had already sold, so that was a very big help.
Mm-hmm.
That's not everything, though. I'm going to have to dig a little deeper, and there's going to be some very rare items that I'm going to put up very soon in the way of Kamen Rider belts. They're my babies, and they need a good home, so when that comes up, you guys be sure to reblog those.
And you'll be some of the first people to know, too, I'm sure. So, especially if you follow us on Twitter or Tumblr or something to that effect. So...
But other than that, let's talk about something else.
Yeah, so what news are we talking about?
Well, we got a couple of stories tonight. First and foremost, we finally have some solid information to give you guys about Sailor Moon's new anime, Sailor Moon Crystal. And the cast has been announced, and we're going to talk a bit about that and the length of the series.
Furthermore, I'm sure a lot of you have also seen in the news that famous actor Bob Hoskins has in fact passed away. That is very sad news, but we don't want to linger on how sad it is.
Yeah, we wanted to at least make mention of that. But the second story we have is Ruroni Kenshin's second and third movies really have a new trailer out, and they've got really awesome footage in there that we'll talk about later.
And then finally, we'll also be catching up with Star Wars as usual, because we frequently talk about Star Wars. Casting stuff, expanded universe related stuff, all sorts of good stuff there.
Yeah.
So.
But beyond that, we do have a couple of follow-ups. We actually have a lot of follow-ups, and like Kaylin just mentioned right now, we would be remiss to not mention the passing of one Bob Hoskins, who did so many great roles in his time.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know him as Eddie Valiant from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Smee, and Hook. And of course, you know, we can't forget...
There's that niche audience who goes after Mario. Mario, mind you.
Yeah.
As I believe later on, somebody adopted that as canon, that Mario's last name was also Mario. I don't know. I remember him once saying in an interview that there was, like, nothing that Bob Hoskins regretted more than the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, like, there are a few roles that you ever do in your lifetime that you think, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. he felt that way about that role, about being Mario in that movie, because we're not going to go into it. There's any number of articles or videos you can watch other than us to let you know how bad that movie was and how many problems there were.
At the same time, can I just sit here and confess that, like, when the movie came out, I was like, it's a movie based on a video game! I'm so excited!
Oh yeah, I had the action figures. I was there.
Yeah.
In the toy section at Walmart, like, Mom, can I have it? Can I have it? And I had Mario and I had Luigi.
Because the way I always looked at it was like, oh, this is supposed to be Yoshi, and it's this little, like, velociraptor-looking thing.
Well, yeah, because it came out right around Jurassic Park, so they were trying to kind of get that audience over.
But at the same time, I was like, they said Yoshi! They called him like, I was young and dumb, and I was like, if they said it and expected me to latch on that that's what it was, I believed it because I was young and dumb.
Right.
So, in a way, I don't know, there's something lasting about, infamy.
Yeah.
That, as horrible as that may sound.
But as much as we can talk about that movie being infamous, you go to the flip side of that, to the absolute best, and we talk about integration of both animation and live action. We talk Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he was the human soul of that movie.
Right. It's also, the movie as a whole was quite amazing because it was the coming together of two animation studios that otherwise would have been neck and neck trying to eat each other.
Right. Really the only time they've ever gotten along ever, and his character Eddie is right there at the heart of it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that you necessarily put yourself in his shoes, but you're rooting for him. You feel something. You feel a connection to him because he's the human in the movie, and he's a likable human, even though he's got his faults. And he played that so well.
He's that character that every movie needs. That one that roots you as, like, you can put yourself in his shoes, and because he's like a very normal kind of a person with very normal people problems, he helps you walk through this, oh my god, I'm in a really bizarre situation with a bunch of toons all around me. This is a really weird world to be living in. You know, that sort of situation. The movie was just an amazing feat at its time, and one that we've seen recreated very few times since. And if you do see it, it's mostly done with actors against a green screen, which was not what was done in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well, because let's look at it this way, to broaden it out.
For the most part,
if you
anyway.
look at it, if we didn't have Who Framed Roger Rabbit, we wouldn't have Space Jam.
Oh no, what would we have done without so many mashups of Space Jam?
Quad City DJs 2, insert song here. And then, just a personal favorite, him as Smee and Hook.
Yeah.
Him and Dustin Hoffman played off each other. It was beautiful.
I had read that he went back to the character of Smee for something else.
He did. I forget what it was specifically.
Because whatever it is, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I forget what it was, but I do know for a fact that he did reprise the role of Smee later on, and I think that was the draw for audiences for that particular Peter Pan project. Mm-hmm. But I want to say that it was cited somewhere that Dustin Hoffman and Bob Hoskins both agreed that they would play them subtextually as a gay couple, and that's why the chemistry worked so well in that movie. And you go back and watch, and you can kind of see it. That's why they're
in places, maybe. Yeah.
The little ways they dote on each other.
I think their interaction's really quite adorable. If you ask.
Oh yeah, because really, you go for Robin Williams, you stay for him and Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
That's that movie right there.
Absolutely.
And these are. Basically, we're saying all this. These are key parts of our childhood that would not have existed without him. So, Mr. Hoskins, you will be missed. But aside from that, we have to keep going. We have other brief updates to give you guys. We've mentioned, of course, several times on the show, Attack on Titan, as far as last year was concerned, was the show to watch. Well, this Saturday on Toonami at 11:30 Eastern, the dub will be premiering on the Toonami block.
I am foreseeing a resurgence, if it hasn't already died down, of Attack on Titan cosplayers.
Oh no, it's about to go through the roof if it wasn't already, because it was already at a not quite fever pitch, but pretty high, given that a dub hadn't come out, but there was the simulcasting. There is putting it on Netflix, on Crunchyroll.
And putting the manga up legally for digital reading as well. All I can tell you guys is that within the last 6 months at conventions that we've gone to, we've played these games with people where we bet a certain number of how many Attack on Titan cosplayers we're going to see over the course of a weekend, and whoever gets closest wins.
It's basically cosplay blackjack, closest without going over.
Yeah, closest without going over.
Is it Plinko? Which one is the closest without going over?
You have no idea what Plinko is, do you?
Well, no, not Plinko. Plinko's the
yeah, that's a ridiculously different game. No,
well,
you
it's
were right the first time.
Well, Price is Right game at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
Because we do have the one friend who will, like, all right, how many people did you guess? 52? I guess 53. You dick. Why'd you do that? But no, you guys can feel free to play that game yourself. But yes, this Saturday, set your DVRs, 11:30 Eastern. I would recommend to a friend if they haven't seen it yet, now's their chance.
Yeah, and actually, from the trailer that launched, the dub is sounding pretty solid to me.
I agree.
I think that I must again repeat that I speak English natively, and therefore I'm actually okay with my own native language. So even when dubs were bad, I never necessarily hated dubs. But I think we live in a day and age where dubs are pretty dang good.
Oh yeah, English, they've come up
for
quite
the
a ways.
most part. So I don't think there's anything worth complaining about yet from the trailer.
Right. I think it's going to be pretty solid.
That's about it then.
And yeah, the merchandise, if the merchandise at Hot Topic is any way to gauge it, there's already several shirts and keychains there already, and the dub hasn't started at all.
Right,
so just wait. It's going to happen. The only thing I wonder is, like they've kind of done with Space Dandy, are they going to keep the opening theme?
Oh, I can't imagine, like, if anybody touched the opening theme, there'd be rioting in the streets. With Space Dandy, it was like, oh, this is a new thing, we don't know what to expect, so there was no rioting in the streets.
Right, because we got it first, and if you were watching out for the subs, you knew about the opening theme, Viva Namida, whereas here, it's been out so long, people know the opening theme, like, it's been mashed up in so many videos and played at convention halls, you couldn't hardly go down a hallway or into a room at a convention without hearing Jaeger. You know, it happens. They better not touch it for their own sake. But again, we got to keep moving along. So we mentioned from last week's show that they had cast everybody main character-wise in the Gem movie except perhaps her boyfriend Rio.
Which a few days later they then cast. So this is cast by Ryan Guzman, who I don't really know other than the fact that he's apparently like a model, and he did a little bit of dancing in whatever Step Up All In. I don't know what that is.
I don't watch those movies.
I know that he is half Hispanic and he's from Texas. Yay, go Texas! That's all I really know about him, and he's been seen on set, and he's had his first day of filming like a couple of days ago. So, yay, now we have a total of like 7,
if you count Zipper.
No, I'm counting Zipper.
Oh, you are?
Because we're counting the 4 holograms, Rio, and Zipper.
No, you're right,
So we've got 6 named characters casted already. There, oh boy.
Okay, great. And then moving on to the last part of our updates. So we made this big old deal last week about, you know what? Batman vs. Superman, we're just going to call it Not Quite Justice League, Not Quite Justice League. What do we find out just a few days ago? They announced Justice League. But it's not Batman vs. Superman.
It's the sequel to Batman vs. Superman, whatever Batman vs. Superman is going to be.
Basically, Batman vs. Superman, and they've more or less said this officially, is the lead-in to Justice League. So us saying that it's not quite Justice League
wasn't exactly wrong.
Actually, it's pretty accurate.
Pretty spot on. So what did we do?
Called it.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that might become a thing.
Oh, I kind of hope not, actually. I'm almost irritated with myself.
Oh, which part are you irritated with? The fact that we called it, or the fact that...
The fact that we sound irritating when we say it.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh, well, I just sound irritating when I speak. Maybe I should just...
I wouldn't worry about it. But those are all our follow-ups. I know that was a lot to get through. Now we get to the real meat of the show. So, Topic number 1.
Oh yeah, I have a picture for that, don't I? Yay! So there's Sailor Moon stuff going on. All right.
Woo! Alright, whoosh! Yeah, I threw that in there.
Just so you guys know, he's making fun of his mom.
My mom, she's not gonna see this.
She's not. She doesn't even know what's going on. So yeah, Sailor Moon stuff happening. The majority of that news being, hey, we have our casts for the 5 scouts, the 5 lead scouts, and actually Usagi, Bunny, Serena,
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon, is Kotono Mitsuishi, who actually is the original voice actress of Sailor Moon, reprising her role 22 years later.
That's pretty hardcore if you think about it.
And she seems pretty excited about it. She's quoted as saying, "I want to hurry up and meet moving Usagi again." I guess she means, animated Usagi. Right. It's like she's relearning who Usagi is, because we're starting the story from
scratch, from
the very beginning.
Yeah.
It was stated that this particular animated series is basically starting all over again, but we're implementing modern day technology. So I don't suppose any of you guys remember, like, I will take everyone's energy using this 3.5-inch floppy disk.
So the world cannot be saved by a 3-inch floppy anymore.
3.5-inch floppy.
Well, that sucks.
Actually, when they started republishing the manga just a year or two ago,
that's right.
I showed you the frame where they used to have that image of the floppy that, I'm gonna take their energy on this 3.5-inch floppy, and they replaced it with a CD, and I was like, well, that's nice that you want to update it and all, but at the same time, that's kind of the George Lucas sort of attitude.
No, not so much George Lucas,
well, yeah,
but kind of Steven Spielberg-ish, where you're switching what's already in somebody's hand.
Well, no, I say that meaning, you have altered the original art, like the original thing that made it what it was.
Well, no, I get why you're upset about it. I mean, I get it, but at the same time,
admittedly, it didn't alter, like, the story in any way, shape, or form.
Well, it serves the same purpose.
It served the exact same purpose, but I don't know. It just bugged me because it's an alteration to art. I don't know. Maybe that's just me and nobody else gets what I'm saying.
Well, really that's the very purest attitude to take over it, which I understand. I don't fault you for that.
Purist as far as art is concerned. Again, I'm not furious at, like, the story is so different. What have they done? Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Otherwise, the rest of the Sailor Scouts are all new young voice actresses.
Yes, we have Hisako Kanemoto as Sailor Mercury. We have Rina Sato as Sailor Mars, Amy Koshimizu as Sailor Jupiter, and Shizuka Ito as Sailor Venus.
So I'm not terribly familiar with those particular voice actresses, but hopefully they all kind of have the same sound, or at least the same chemistry as the original cast did at the time. We've also learned that Sailor Moon Crystal,
which is the name of the series,
will have 26 episodes. I would somewhat imagine that after 26 episodes, then they'll do some of their other arcs and maybe do
and then call it something else,
like Crystal S.
Perhaps.
Crystal Super S.
The only thing I can relate it to is, like, with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure airing right now, you have the core series, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but then every couple of episodes it's a new arc.
Well, so not maybe a couple of episodes, every new season just about.
Well, no, it's every couple of episodes, because the first 9 only cover the first one, Phantom Blood.
Well,
and then after
to be fair, the first 9 episodes are not exactly the popular arc.
No, but it's at least the beginning. It's separate, which I'm thinking is they'll follow a similar pattern here. The first 26 will set up the basic world of Sailor Moon, and then from there they'll expand. Because there's no way they won't expand. There's too much story. Too many mangas to cover, too many characters to introduce. There's no way they're going to get up to Uranus and Pluto in just 26. If they do, I would imagine they're really pushing the envelope on how much they're cramming it into every episode.
That, and I just wonder if they'll ever retouch the Sailor Stars arc, ever. I seem to recall that the original manga artist wasn't necessarily thrilled with the option of doing the Sailor Stars. At the same time, she wasn't exactly thrilled with how many changes they wanted to make in the original TV series either. I'm really curious to see whether or not they stick... I know they said they want to stick even closer to the manga than they did previously. I think she thought they made them too sexy, too...
Well, see,
that was the artist's
Here's something
quote.
that I don't think we brought up before, because you think about the time it came out. We're talking, what, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 22 years ago.
It's a different world now.
Yeah.
I guess I should say subject matter that's covered in Sailor Stars and Sailor S, I think the current modern audience might cling on to it a little easier now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very plausible idea.
Really, at the time, I think Sailor Stars was treated more as a joke. Oh, it's the gender-bending season, you know.
But nowadays, that kind of topic is very, very volatile, and people want to see that portrayed at the least.
Uh-huh.
So, who knows? They might actually touch that sort of thing.
For now, I think it's a little too early to tell, though.
Right. Now, the thing is, this is going to start airing July 5th, and like we mentioned before, this will be simulcasted between here in Japan over on Nico Nico Doga. Some of you are familiar with that video site. So we should all have the option of being able to watch it.
Here's hoping.
And really, I think it's worth mentioning the new take on these character designs. Most people are familiar with the way Sailor Moon looks because she's looked the same way for about 20 years. Now these character designs, as you can see here, are a little bit more...
They seem softer, perhaps.
They're thinner.
Yeah, they're rail thin.
To me, they're very Clamp-esque.
Yeah, I can see, like, really elongated and really thin, because it's less this kind of hourglass shape that used to be there, and more squeeze it all in there.
Yeah. Like, I'm looking at the character design here, like, how does Usagi breathe? Like, her rib cage is like this, compared to the rest of her body. I mean, there's still somewhat an hourglass figure there for a 14-year-old, but, you know, you kind of suspend disbelief a little bit to let that slide.
Mm-hmm, that's true. It is a cartoon, to be fair.
And I don't knock them that much. Aside from that change, they look almost exactly the same.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Otherwise, their clothes are exactly perfect, right down to the dang shoes. What types of shoes each girl is wearing, you know?
And I appreciate that they, as opposed to those character designs that we saw a couple of months ago that I guess weren't accurate, they were taking a lot of risks with it, and I guess there's something to be said about playing it safe here. So we're looking at on the verge of, you know, Attack on Titan's gonna have its time, but as soon as Sailor Moon comes back, we're gonna have a whole new wave of fans.
Oh yeah,
a whole new generation.
This made me question again too. Like, we have lost the rights, the distribution rights to the original anime for almost 10 years now.
That's insane.
That seems ludicrous for something that was so intensely popular, was so many people's introduction to anime as a medium. You know, it blows my mind that, and I don't know whether or not it's because, you know, Toei's rights are too expensive, or if it's tied up in all of these different places, like no one company can get all of the rights. I would be interested in learning more about that, actually. But it just seems so crazy that it can be so popular, and yet, as far as America is concerned, the original series is dang near lost. That is ludicrous to me.
I almost wonder if maybe they did that on purpose. That way this one would push further. You know, as a marketing ploy. That's not to say that after a certain amount of time they won't go back, somebody will license it and put those discs out there. Because, let's not kid ourselves, Sailor Moon is still a cash cow. People are still buying the merchandise that's available at anime conventions or even at Hot Topic today. So I don't doubt that once this gets started again, we'll see a resurgence in somebody wanting to get that license out there.
I hope so. I really do.
But that's all the news on that. Now all we have to do is wait until July and see how this goes.
Here's hoping.
Okay, so moving on to our second story. Like I've said before, there are adaptations, there are faithful adaptations, and then there's Ruroni Kenshin. Ruroni Kenshin was an amazing movie. If you have the chance to watch it, or if you had the chance, I should say, at a film festival or by some other means that I shouldn't necessarily condone on the show, you should watch this movie.
What happened to that one Chinese Blu-ray
Oh,
copy
yes, that's
that's
right.
actually legit?
Of course, lest I forget.
It's not even bootleg or anything.
No. There's the Chinese version of official release of the DVD and Blu-ray has
of the original Ruroni Kenshin movie that came out last year.
Has English subtitles. So if you guys go on, I believe Amazon has it. You can order it on there, or CD Japan, I think it has it as well. You can officially watch this movie and support this beautiful piece of media that we have out.
It's even good subtitles too. That's
yeah,
the
it's not
weird
like
thing.
these weird yellow and then I was to doing the sword.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It has regular English in it.
Or like the Star Wars episode 1 through 3, which becomes Star War, and the Jedi Council becomes the Presbyterian Church. Like that literally is a thing. No, the subs aren't like that. These subs are like native speaking English. No issues at all with it. But anyway.
But yes, this new movie coming out, actually 2 movies coming out this summer, titled Ruroni Kenshin, Kyoto Inferno, and Ruroni Kenshin, The Legend Ends, will round out this story of Kenshin that goes up to about episode, I believe, 54 in the anime, which covers the Kyoto arc. And really, it says as much here in the title, and I've put there in the chat for you guys the look at this trailer, just as a movie, alright? Imagine you don't know anything about the story. This looks beautiful. The colors are popping off the screen. The visuals are there. The striking fire. All the people crowding around Kenshin. The costumes. Alright, can we talk costumes here?
Crazy accurate costumes. Crazy accurate to the source material.
Yes, like, they mentioned as much, and I think I said this last time, if not, I'll repeat myself. For Shishio's costume, it's not actually cloth. It's basically, rubber, like kind of like a monster suit that they've made to look manga accurate for his character.
I almost wonder if that feels worse in there than an actual monster
it does.
suit.
The actor playing him has mentioned that for the role, putting on the costume, which takes a while to get into, helped him get into a super sour mood, which he used to then enhance his performance as Shishio.
I mean, it just plain makes sense, because if he's friggin' hot in there, that's his character.
Well, yeah, that's Shishio's character. He's a very badly burned individual who can't sweat anymore, so his body is constantly overheated. He is in character doing this. And you've heard about actors over here complaining about, oh, well, I had to wear this costume for so long, and it sucks, and I don't want to do it. Well, here, it was a necessity. And it shows that in this trailer, he's really selling it. Like, I wasn't so sure, because before I was thinking, wait, this is the guy who played Light in Death Note. I don't know if I can trust... No, I trust it now. I am sold here. And now, since the last time we talked about it, we've had the rest of the cast rounded out. Characters like Sojiro Seto, who's being played by Kamiki Ryunosuke.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that casting.
My personal favorite out of the characters, Aoshi Shinomori, is being played by Yusuke Isaya. And mind you, you see him just slightly in action here, but I was waiting so long for a sequel to this. As soon as I saw it, I was like, where's Aoshi? I want to see Aoshi. Where's the Aoshi? And there he is, pimp coat and everything, twin Kodachi style. And everybody else is there. Saito is getting more FaceTime here. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because if there's a problem the first movie had, it's that Saito had a very reduced role for what they were telling in the story. And that's fine, because now they've got room to grow. They've got room to showcase him. We've got all the other characters here.
I almost wonder if it's too much to do in one movie, and if they should have elongated it to 3, because there's a lot of characters.
I was worried about that as well, and the thing is, in these trailers and pictures as well of the rest of the cast, people I was fairly certain they were going to cut out are still there. You know, all of these other characters that you see throughout this arc that Kenshin has to fight to make his way through Shishio. You know, he's got his whole advanced guard of people that Kenshin has to plow through one after another. Anji, Iwanbo, everybody that he's got to mow down. They're all there, and their costumes look insanely good. And really what I'm waiting for is that last fight between Shishio, Kenshin, Sano, Saito, and Aoshi when they're there on the, I guess you'd call it kind of the final stage with the fire going on in the background.
So, we are pretty much confirmed that they're not going to do another movie after this,
No,
right?
they're looking like they're going to close it out here.
Thank
with
God.
3 movies. Yeah, I agree as well, because you know the problem's over here. If a franchise is making money, you milk that mess.
Yeah, but if you milk it, then it unfortunately sours it, and...
Because you tell me, how many times has that happened over here? How many franchises overstayed their welcome?
Now, I can say this much, as far as the manga is concerned, after this arc, the manga takes a certain direction, and then the anime takes a certain direction, and the anime needed to just stop.
Yes.
Because once this particular arc was over, then they were like, you know what we can do? We can go back to acting all happy-go-lucky like nothing ever happened, and oh, we've got all these goofy episodes. Why don't we do that for another season? No. Why did you do that? No, the show was over.
Now, it's funny you mention that, because in conjunction with this, Nobuhiro Watsuki, who made the original manga, is putting out a spin-off manga that centers around Shishio that will line up with the release of this.
Interesting.
So, you know, we get a little bit of backstory there. Not that we didn't have it already, but it helps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that continuation of the stupid anime story. Really, if you have the option, the manga is out there. Go read the manga. It's a completely different story from the anime, and it is so much more rich.
Right.
The Jinshu arc just... Oh, I wish they would animate it. So many other, you know, Kenshin fans out there want to see that. And we've kind of gotten that in some of the later movies, but that's a topic for another time. Again, I have to ask, are we going to see these movies over here? Are there going to be art houses and film festivals that will show these films?
Could have sworn that Kenshin at least got shown in Dallas.
No, yeah, we missed it.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about the last time we covered the first story.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that particular Dallas-based Asian Film Festival will air these movies, at least one of them, if not both. And really, I always point back to Kenshin and really a lot of adaptations in recent years over from Japan. Their adherence to the source material is to be praised. Usually. Because with the rare case of, like... Not always, but...
Usually.
You know, I cite examples like this, like Beck, like... what was the other one? Honey and Clover. The adaptation manages to visualize in, you know, flesh and blood what pen and paper has done, and that is beautiful. And these movies aren't just for anime fans. Even people who are just film buffs, people who just like samurai movies, go and watch these and say, wow, that was a really well-executed movie.
And not even just samurai movies, but also there's something to be said about the history to it, too. Because while the story is fictional, and the characters are fictional, their ideas are based in actual Japanese history.
Right, the actual Meiji era.
Yeah, in a time where Japan was transitioning from one kind of rule to another kind of rule, where it was this switch over from, you know, lords and your groups of...
The feudal system.
Your feudal system switching over to a more democratic sort of Western-approached mentality, where suddenly you weren't allowed to wield weapons in public or even have them in public at all, so that you have these people who are coming over from an older age not knowing where they fit in this new age.
And I remember as much, like, you know, stop me if I'm wrong, I might just be talking about my own experience here, but growing up, you know, a couple of years back, 5 years, well, not 5, longer than that, 10 years ago, something like that, I would rush to go see movies like The Last Samurai and Memoirs of a Geisha because I thought that was as close as we were going to get to a Ruroni Kenshin movie in my lifetime. And...
Oh, well, you were wrong now, weren't you?
I'm glad I was wrong. I'm so glad I was wrong.
Yeah.
Because you go back and look at it, the visuals were good there, but they weren't exactly the most truthful depictions of the time period or the way things worked. But just that feel, that look, you want to hope that one day that'll happen, and lo and behold, here we are, 10 some odd years later, maybe less, and we have these now. We have this one movie now going on to 3 this summer that you never thought was going to happen in your lifetime, and that's beautiful. That's great that we can see this, and then people can see this and be inspired by it to make their own better adaptations.
Yeah, because I was about to say, actually, like, isn't the way we're gushing about this, like, completely opposite from a lot of comic and cartoon adaptations into Hollywood?
Well, yeah, cartoon and, comic adaptations, you change as much as possible while leaving the very minimum amount for the fan that grew up on it. That's the way it works, because you sell to people who aren't fans. That's the way it works. Whereas here, no, we are selling directly to the fans.
Well, there's also this complete cultural difference, too. Because while manga is... Not everybody in Japan reads manga. It's a little bit more widely accepted to read manga than it is to read comics over here in the States. I don't want to give this impression that it's like so widely accepted that you could do it anywhere and nobody would think anything of you. But, people read their comics on trains, and...
Did you say people just pick up manga, read it, and then leave it where it is for someone else to read?
Yeah, if it's newsstand manga, you only spent a couple yen on it, and you've already flipped through the whole thing, and like, oh, well, this isn't a collector's item, it's not the whole book, then, they'll just leave it on a seat and somebody else will pick it up and read it later. But that's the kind of difference I'm talking about, and Ruroni Kenshin is currently, last I saw, just yesterday, I think, Ruroni Kenshin is tied for 20th most popular manga publication of all time. And, that's not exactly number one, which is One Piece,
course, the first
but
movie,
it's high.
The first movie, because of the manga being that high, number one for several weeks, broke records at Japan box offices. That shows how much this intellectual property is praised over there, because people flocked to go see this movie,
I'm just saying,
and their movie industry is smaller than ours.
I'm just saying it's a cultural difference, too. Because on top of that, again, there's a historical aspect to it that I think the Japanese would latch on to, of course, far easier than we would. Just because it's kind of ingrained in them. They're going to school, learning about this time period. Quite honestly, our school systems give us very little about Asian history in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Tons of stuff about Western civilization, but very little about Asian culture. Kind of a shame, really. I was actually having that discussion with somebody else going through Asian studies in college recently and realizing, wow, we know nothing in comparison.
And the thing is, here, some historical characters are integrated into the story that they have to interact with, because... you have to let time pass on the way it's supposed to, so in order to prevent things from happening, you have to have these people that you're protecting. That's what Kenshin does. So, to wrap that up, because I know we got a lot to talk about in the next topic, these movies are coming out this summer. When the option arises, please support these legally. They are totally worth your money, totally worth your time. So, yes, the Ruroni Kenshin Kyoto arc, go watch it when you get the chance.
Yes.
But now our biggest... bulk of story that we have to talk about. Star Wars in general.
Because I know, again, we talk about Star Wars a lot. Why? Well, we really like Star Wars. I mean, what else do we have to say?
Come on.
And a lot of other people do, too. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of this thing. It's kind of underground.
Yeah. Might not have heard about it. But point being, we have two major things to talk about. We've got the news that came first, which was... what Lucasfilm has to say officially about the expanded universe of Star Wars, and of course the just as major announcement, the casting confirmation for Episode 7.
Some of the casting is kind of, well, no duh.
Yeah, we kind of knew.
They've
been telling us for months.
Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill
Carrie Fisher.
Like those are really like who didn't know.
Yeah.
You've got Anthony Daniels back.
Peter Mayhew, Kenny Baker. Like your basic core, when you think of Star Wars, you think of these characters or these actors as these characters. They're back. But now we've got the new actors on the scene. And thank God that we know now, because now all the news sites can stop speculating that every actor and their mother is in this movie.
I'm just saying there's still a possibility. Like, Star Wars is big enough that they can just keep throwing actors in, and, you know, I would believe it.
Well,
these are the ones that
these are the ones we're dealing with.
Certain about.
Now, mind you, these are just the actors. We have not confirmed who they're playing just yet. It's just kind of a given that the people we just mentioned are playing who they've been playing for, 30 some odd years. So first and foremost, we have John Boyega, who is an actor most people would know as the protagonist of the movie Attack the Block.
Very good movie if you haven't seen it.
I'm surprised how many people haven't seen Attack the Block.
Now, well, it did kind of come out in a limited release in theaters, so only so many cities got the movie. Heck, we had to go to Austin to go to it.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
Yeah, just an hour's drive.
It was also a good milkshake that night.
That was such a good milkshake. It was this peanut butter and chocolate mix.
Okay, that has nothing to do with the news story. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but yes, John Boyega, supposedly he's got one of the strong lead roles. Next up, we have our only female main character who's been confirmed, other than Carrie Fisher, who is this actress by the name of Daisy Ridley, who's a newcomer to the series. She's done a few TV series, but not too much else besides that. After her, we have Adam Driver, who some of you might recognize from the HBO series Girls. He was in movies like Inside Llewyn Davis, Lincoln, J. Edgar. Most people, well, not most people, some people might know him as the guy who was rumored to be Nightwing for like a month, and I don't know where that came from.
I remember you getting mad at that, like, no, that can't be true.
No.
You immediately dismissed it just by looking at him.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't look like Nightwing. He doesn't look a dang thing like Nightwing. We've got a guy on Arrow coming up later who's going to play Nightwing.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like Nightwing.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't look like Nightwing. There's a very strong possibility that this guy is playing one of the villain roles. That just, noise you hear throughout, news sites and what have you. We have another guy by the name of Oscar Isaac, who was also in Inside Llewyn Davis, was also seen in Sucker Punch and The Bourne Legacy. His character is supposedly...
I've seen his face, that's all I know.
His character is supposedly tied to Han Solo in some way, shape, or form, but, we have yet to find out. After him, we have the great Andy Serkis, the leading man as far as motion capture is concerned.
The next one I know the best, right after, why am I blanking on name
John
already?
Boyega?
John Boyega, yeah.
We've all seen him. We know him as King Kong. We've seen him in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. We've seen him in Tintin. Of course, we've seen him in The Hobbit.
Even if you don't know his face, you've seen his motion. That's where you know him from his mocap.
Yes. And I would almost bet that he would be a creature of some kind.
I'm sure, yeah.
I mean...
Or at least something that's not quite human.
That's more than likely, given his line of work.
Right.
His preferred, way of acting. His best way of acting, really. After him, we have Domhnall Gleeson, who people would know from the Harry Potter series. It was also in Dread and the remake of True Grit. After him, we have the great Max von Sydow, who people would know from The Exorcist, Flash Gordon, Minority Report, Dune. It's almost a given he's a Sith. Almost a given. Old white guy, British accent.
What are you talking about? That was Obi-Wan Kenobi, you idiot!
Yeah, but the Sith are all British, too.
Yeah, but not all of them.
Yeah, but all the other Jedi are dead, and he's too old to be a new Jedi.
But if... I know this is getting really iffy here, considering that'll be the next part of the news story we talk about. Considering what they could do with or without the expanded universe, there should be more Jedi now.
Well, we'll talk about that in just a second. And then, like we said before, there's a few other actors. This Japanese guy called Ford Harrison. He's in the new Expendables movie. I don't know if you guys will watch that. And then a couple of other people.
Okay, stop.
All right, fine.
Stop.
Fine. I won't go into it. Stop.
Just stop.
So, there's a couple of rumors floating left and right about what the title of this movie is going to be. We're not sure. The one I've heard the strongest for is that this might be called Order of the Jedi. Like, that's going to be the subtitle. Of course, we don't have any confirmation of that.
I'm calling working title on that one.
Probably. For right now, it's just safe to call it Episode 7.
Right.
But as to what this movie is going to cover, that kind of goes into our companion story to this, which is the decided future of the expanded universe.
It's all gone.
It's pretty much gone.
It's gone! Forget it! Forget it! Like, no more Dash Rendar?
I am pissed. I am so pissed.
No more,
if you guys are out there, like me, and you
more.
played Shadows of the Empire, then you know, these video games, these comics, these books that people have poured their lives into, people who were inspired since the late 70s by this universe, like, wow, I want to contribute a piece of fiction to this.
Lucas confirmed the 501st. That's not even movie material. What happens to all of our stormtroopers that go from con to con as the 501st? They're just there? Just because now?
Because you look at this, and they try to make it sound like it's a positive. They try their best. But if you read between the lines of what they're saying for people who were part of the expanded universe or who like the expanded universe, they give this line here. Where did they say it?
All I know is that I love this video that they released where they kind of were like, oh yeah, we love the expanded universe. I remember my first comic book when blah, 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 blah. And they're giving it this nice positive spin, right?
Right.
And then they go and they turn around and they're like, well, we can't wait to give you a new universe to play in. And anybody can come and contribute to that universe. And it's just kind of like, oh, all you hundreds of and thousands of artists and writers and video game producers, you see this work here? You see this work you've been doing over the last...
Because here's the way it works. Basically what they say is, for people who want to contribute, anything from episode 7 on is now canon. Basically negating just about 98% of what's come before it. Mm-hmm. That sucks, and that is an understatement. Because I don't get Dark Empire. Some people think Dark Empire was stupid. I loved Dark Empire.
Okay, whatever you say.
But now it doesn't count. And now they say, well, if you where did it say here? Demands for past tales of the expanded universe, we will keep them in print, presented under the new Legends banner. Basically, the Legends banner equates to the doesn't count banner. It doesn't count, but you can still buy it.
Legends, you know, like really old religions where you know that they just sort of based it on, oh, we need to tell a story about why there is a sun in the sky and who got really angry at us and why we've been forsaken. You know,
because you think about it, you think of Legends the way they mean it, like Legends. Oh, that story you like to tell that we know isn't true.
Yeah.
You see the kind of backhanded sort of slap in the face you get to fans of the expanded universe. Mara Jade, alright? People are up in arms that she doesn't exist anymore, and she's an awesome character. She's a strong character. And now you're saying she doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, maybe they'll just, maybe,
I can't take it.
Maybe there will be some slight acknowledgement of something. Some last nugget that you can kind of grasp and hold on to and keep it tight in your bosom.
I know. But
I don't really know where I was going with that.
Well, I'm thinking about it too. The one positive thing I'm seeing about this, from a personal aspect, is that maybe we get to keep Chewie from having a planet run into him.
It was a moon.
Or a moon, yeah, that's right. So maybe Chewie doesn't die that way, but that they might still do something along that lines. They might still kill him off.
At the same time, I could be wrong, but I think the characters the actors are old enough at this point that they've passed that part where Chewie gets hit with a moon. So, as it is, him being alive at all has already negated that.
Perhaps.
Maybe. don't really know.
That's the only thing we can hope right now. The next thing we gotta wait for now is, okay, let's see them in costume. Let's find out who these characters are, what their relations are to one another.
Like, really, ultimately, I just want the movie to be good.
Yes.
And I suppose, so long as the movie is good, so long as, gosh, I don't want to say so long as it retcons episodes 1 through 3. I wish you could do that, but you can't. They exist now, forever, unfortunately, for all of time. What I really would want for it to do is find some, like, happy balance between these are the Star Wars movies where George Lucas actually had input from other human beings to help make the stories good, and these are the ones where he just kind of went off the deep end and nobody critiqued him while writing it.
Or nobody could tell him no,
and
basically,
nobody could tell him no. So long as the movie ends up being good, I will be saddened by there not being this rich history that so many people have contributed to that is considered official. But I think...
Well, was considered official.
But I think at the end of the day, we all just want a good movie, right?
Yeah,
One that makes sense in the movie universe that already exists and that everyone already recognizes.
Because as much as we say that we're upset by, basically the exclusion of most of the expanded universe, at the same time, yeah, you're right. At heart, we still want to feel the same way we felt when we were kids watching our first Star Wars movie. We want to feel that we're on an adventure. We want to feel that the characters, not just the old ones, but the new ones, are people we can get behind. People that are flawed, but they still have a good heart. We want to see villains that we want to hate. We want to see battles that are not just big for the sake of there being a lot of technical aspects to them, but just big because the story shows us that it's a big thing. Mm-hmm. We want to be able to believe what we're seeing on the screen. We don't want our brains telling us, hey, there's something wrong with this, whether it be the story, whether it be the acting, whether it be whatever.
The visuals.
Yeah, the visuals.
My brain went off a lot with those visuals.
And we want it to be good. We want to hope in this and be there on opening night with other people in Jedi robes or Stormtrooper outfits cheering because there's a piece of our childhood that's hopefully this time come back from the dead, and it's not a reanimated corpse that has Hayden Christensen's face on it.
Oh, no.
You mean no?
I mean, do not want. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap this story up and then get to our post show. So I really hate to cut it right there, but yeah, we're right at the end of the hour. So that having been said, we do want to thank you guys for sitting here and hanging out with us. If you're here in the chat room with us, do not go anywhere. We'll hang out with you guys for another half hour and just talk about stuff. We'll just go back and forth as usual. You guys on YouTube, yeah, I promise this is getting up on YouTube this week.
Yeah, I will make sure.
As you plainly see, because this is on YouTube!
Yeah, right.
So, thank you again for hanging out with us, and we'll be doing this again next week. Get over to us next week at 9 p.m. Central Time at twitch.tv/MarsGirl, and you can join us here live and talk with us too. Until then...
You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at MarsGirlProd.
So that's been Beyond the Black Rims for this week, and we will see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.